We don't want to know about climate change since, quote, the implications are so terrible. Coming up.
Cities which will sink at current rates of global warming. Leaked industry studies warn fracking is much more dangerous than previously thought. And polluters paying Disney to sell their chemicals to children.
I've been picking up dead animals to the point where I can't even do it anymore. The air yesterday was so bad, the alarm was going off.
These are one of the many incidents documented near frack sites. The animals' symptoms correspond with known effects from chemicals used in fracking.
This kitten seems to have some serious nerve damage going on here.
Infertility, cancer and birth defects. New studies have added to the list of the health effects of fracking. Toxicologists examined just a third of the 900 chemicals they pump in the water, ground and air. 4 in 10 chemicals were found to hit kidney and immune systems. A majority affected the nervous system and blood, and 2 in 3 of the chemicals damaged the skin, eyes and other sensory organs. Wells are now even being drilled, reports CNN, inside schools. 2 gas wells in Leroy High School, New York, spilled, killing the trees and vegetation where students play right there every day. By March, reports the New York Times, 18 children at the school had come down with Tourette's syndrome, a neurological disease with symptoms similar to the kittens found at frack sites. The National Atmospheric Agency found small towns with frack sites like Erie, Colorado, now have air pollution 9 times higher than America's dirtiest cities that don't yet have drilling. Richard Cheney used to run oil giant Halliburton. As vice president, he pushed through Congress breathtaking legislation called the Halliburton loophole. Frackers are now exempt from the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Safe Drinking Water Act, Resource Conservation Act, Environmental Policy Act, Environmental Liability Act, the Community Right to Know Act, and most other federal laws on environmental health. The Marcellus Shale sits under the largest unfiltered water supply in the world. It provides tap water to millions on the East Coast. Authorities admit fracking's already affected the Allegheny River running through New York and Pennsylvania that supplies cities with their drinking water. Let's talk to a representative from the fracking industry, Dana Bone of lobby group Energy in Depth. Great to speak to you. Will the industry still insist there's absolutely no evidence of environmental damage?
The process has been used over 1.2 million times across the United States with 0 evidence of water contamination.
In fact, systematic and massive water, land and air contamination by fracking is admitted even in the industry's own documents. In a potentially criminal suppression of massive health risks to the public, leaked reports by the world's biggest frack firm, Schlumberger, admit half the casings on frack wells fail, sending chemicals straight into the atmosphere. In fact, there's thousands and thousands of documented cases of fracking turning drinking water black, families with sudden symptoms of exposure to industrial chemicals.
The hydrogen chloric acid is what they use before they frack, but that was the #1 thing in my lungs.
Rivers at frack sites floating with dead animals, on and on. Snake Oil notes extraordinary lengths the industry goes to mask all this from the public. The author of Snake Oil is Richard Heimberg. Great to speak to you. How big's this cover-up?
Field scientists working for the EPA had found a strong correlation between fracking and problems with water quality, but higher up EPA officials in Washington had prevented the dissemination of these findings.
Parents were shocked to discover oil giants now work with Disney to brainwash the next generation. Oil and gas lobbies have paid Disney DJs and schools to take elementary class children out of class and make fracking infrastructure models. while pop music blares in the background and Disney employees cheer them on. An industry spokesman admitted they target 7-year-olds because they take in information and don't ask annoying questions about health threats like those meddling adults.
Kids are the best way to spread the message about the oil and gas industry. They retain the information. They remember it.
Meet Talisman Terry, your friendly Frackosaurus, a 24-page colouring book from the industry, which claims the environment is even better after it's been fracked. Comedy Central host Stephen Colbert adds a sick Terry setting fire to himself from his fracked water supply would be more realistic. It's all part of industry moves, notes author Daisy Luther, to make sure the next generation will never ask questions about deadly toxins in their adult life.
I mean, why would you want to give up crop dusting? Blue skies, no air traffic. And
A crop duster spraying poisonous chemicals on food is the hero of Disney's new blockbuster for children. In a supreme irony, the day the film was released, Activist Post reports 79 teens were rushed to ER after the Monsanto field they were working in was sprayed with toxic pesticides by a crop duster. The American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC, a big business lobby funded by special interests like ExxonMobil, is secretly funding school curriculums to deny man-made climate change exists.
Been informed that the National Guard has finally arrived at
New York, London, Washington, Shanghai, Florida, in fact, half of all cities in the world will be underwater already this century. At current rates of climate change, the Earth will be 4 degrees hotter before this century's through, leaving the planet completely without ice for the first time in 40 million years. Sea levels will be 25 meters higher as agriculture collapses. There will be mass starvation. In fact, within decades, the world's already set for an irreversible tipping point where ice sheet disintegration starts accelerating out of our control. The effects are plain today with record floods, hurricanes. Drought has already become a permanent feature of Australasia, vast swathes of Africa and the Middle East, and the American Southwest. Your government, notes the world's preeminent climate scientist James Hansen, is lying to you through their teeth. Obama, in his speeches, regularly talks about his green credentials. In fact, notes the author of an upcoming keynote book called To Save the Planet, Turn the World Upside Down, Obama's pursuing policies to squeeze every last drop of fossil fuel, including tar sands, coal and mountaintop removal by, quote, whatever means necessary and regardless of environmental damage. Huge tax breaks he gave fracking companies are a key reason the highly complicated procedure is financially viable. Green initiatives touted by government that make us feel good about ourselves, notes Truthout, are either useless or even more catastrophic than what they replace. While fracking giants assure us natural gas is a clean, safe alternative energy, numerous studies from NASA and Stanford University found vast methane emissions from wells make fracking actually, quote, the worst possible fuel for global warming, and even worse than coal.
The hypothesis here is shale gas is better for global warming than other fossil fuels, and it's a good transitional fuel. And so we tested that, and the answer is, well, no, it's not. It's somewhere between 3.6 and 7.9% of the total amount of gas produced over a lifetime of a well is emitted to the atmosphere as methane. There's continual leakage at the wellhead, there's leakage from the storage and processing facilities, purposeful venting, also accidental leaks. You throw it into the pipeline system. If you believe that we might be approaching a tipping point over the next couple of decades, then you need to be really careful about pumping methane, that's such a potent greenhouse gas in this short time frame, into the atmosphere.
Guilt-ridden initiatives like replanting rainforests and pollution tax credits always get diluted by those who control the economy to the point where they're actually now big subsidies for polluters. All these measures, notes James Hansen, are laughable drops in the ocean in any case. We actually require astonishingly sharp cuts right now. Experts agree we need a 50% drop in CO2 emissions within 6 years. By 2050, 90% to avoid the destruction of the planet.
Given current corporate practices, not one wildlife preserve, wilderness, or indigenous culture will survive the global market economy. The capitalist market system is inherently eco-suicidal. There is no polite way to say that business is destroying the world.
Author Richard Smith notes it no longer matters what your politics are or whether you like capitalism or not. Quote, the current American way of life is simply not viable. Richard joins us. Great to see you. So what choice do we have?
The public doesn't yet appreciate the dangers we face in the not distant future, but right now. Most people don't really want to know because the implications are too terrible. Large corporations, they just can't find it in their interest to act in the interests of the common good. So we have to nationalize, socialize the whole economy, take them over and run them ourselves. It's either that or they'll just drive us off the cliff to collapse.
Practically every job in the US today, in one way or another, depends on fossil fuel extraction that cannot be greened in any meaningful way. Smith argues whatever your political views, only a new truly socialist government could reassign all those coal miners and auto workers and gas frackers to non-destructive jobs, as corporations can't be expected to vote themselves out of existence. The US consumes so much more than anyone else and economically and militarily dictates their model to the rest of the world. So Americans' decision to keep or change their system may kill or save this planet. Seek truth from facts. This is the Truth Seeker.